I just got back from the Detroit Autorama way out there in Detroit. And luckily, the winner of the 2025 Riddler Award was just announced. So let's dive in. This is a super fascinating win. There's lots to unpack here. Okay, without further ado, the winner of this year's Riddler Award is this absolutely gorgeous 1955 Chevy Nomad, way over the top custom. And there are so many subtle nuances with this build that I noticed. So I've got the iPad here. Let's jump in to what I'm talking about. But before we get started, first, I want to just give major props to all of the contenders this year. There were some really strong candidates, just like this absolutely gorgeous 1963 Chevy Corvette here that was built by Steve's Auto Restorations in Portland, Oregon, or perhaps the second 1963 Corvette, this way over the top orange Corvette here with custom everything on it. Even the wheelhouses were modified in the back. You can see a little arch there above the rear tire where they kind of came up through the body. Or perhaps this other contender, this absolutely gorgeous 1957 Bel Air, which has been modified to be a 2-seat roadster here. Yeah, that was really cool to see. Or this absolutely way over the top 1949 Pontiac. Wow, what an ordeal. 24 years in the making. Or this 1970 Monte Carlo, totally insane carbon fiber roof, and yeah, side exit exhaust here out the side with these flush mount door handles on the door. Just really, really well done. Or perhaps this 1937 truck here, or this way over the top Velocity stacked 1933. Some crazy good contenders this year at the Autorama. I don't know, every year it seems like the contenders keep getting more and more insane at the Autorama. Of course, last year's winner was Kindigit Designs with their insane Corvette concept car. This year, the winner is a 1955 Nomad called Graymadder. This is it. This is the car that we're talking about. You can see here, just by looking at it, wow, does it ever not look stock? Here from the completely flush-mounted side trim, everything on this car just looks so dialed, so perfect. Let's bring up some videos here. I want to go through the details of this build. This is really cool to see. Now, I've been building custom cars here for my pretty much entire career here. And as a professional builder, there's a lot of details here that I liked about this car, and I want to dive in. This is going to be a really fun exploration into the winner of the 2025 Detroit Autorama. Okay, let's pull up some video here. Let's jump in. So here you can see the door handles are missing, but the trim is not. And if we take a closer look here, you can see just how it's cut into the body line there. It's absolutely insane. The amount of work that it takes to get trim that perfectly mounted is just astronomical. That is a serious endeavor and a major feat to overcome. Here we can see that beautiful air cleaner, which is a very serious nod to the old air cleaner that would have been on like a 283 that may have come in this car from the factory. Of course, the motor in this 55 Chevy is an LS3 6.2 liter. Nice, simple setup. No fuss, no muss. Well, at least hopefully. We can see here all of the beautiful engine work going on here with that polished billet accessory drive, the Nomad valve covers, and all of the other little dress-up details to make this LS3 look like it belongs and not like it just rolled out of a parts catalog. Now, behind that 6.2 liter LS3 is a 6L90E 6-speed automatic from General Motors. Of course, ultimate headers, a custom billet oil and transmission pan, Holley engine management, and a custom billet air cleaner all round out this drivetrain package to be what it is here and what you're seeing on the screen. Now, underneath the car, there is a full Art Morrison chassis with custom hydraulic suspension. Now, I assume that probably means Hydra-Shocks from Mittler, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a little hard to see the shocks. They had the wheels on this car, and yeah, they were buried up there underneath the chassis. Of course, Wilwood brakes all around with a Ford 9-inch rear axle. Now, the wheels and tires are one-off machined wheels and tires. They're made by EVOD Industries. The fronts are an 18x8, and then the rears are 20x12. Of course, they have Diamondback classic tires in a 235/45/18 in the front, and then a 335/30 R20 in the back. Nice and wide, going to be able to get all of that power down from the LS3. Of course, this 55 Nomad was designed and built by Southern Comfort Customs and Interior of Ramseur, North Carolina. The interior is very custom, but oh, so perfectly executed. Here we've got Dakota digital gauges. We've got a custom-made steering column designed by Kevin Fugate, a specialty power windows. So this, of course, the power windows are hidden. Of course, they would be. Vintage Air, Ron Francis wiring, and a custom leather interior by Jeff Shores, the same shop that built the car here. Now, the exterior is painted with some of the best paint in the world, and it shows. That's why this car looks so absolutely perfect. Of course, it's painted with Glasser at 55 line. Other noteworthy additions to the body is a custom billet grille, chrome by Dan's Polishing and Chrome, John Wright's custom chrome, lights by Pyramid Optimized Designs, custom billet trim, of course, on the sides of it there, and glass by Vintage Glass. What I really liked, and one of the little features of this car, was the Nomad taillights. If you look really close beneath the center of them in the back, there's the word Nomad stamped in them. So yeah, you see the word Nomad every time you hit the brakes. How cool is that? And I think it bears saying the owners of this car, Tom Christie and son Josh Breshannon from Pekin, Illinois. The bumpers are totally custom. They look to be flipped with a fascia put underneath them to lower them, to bring them so they wrap around the body a little bit tighter and allow for that exhaust tip to come through just the way it is. Of course, they are sectioned in. They're very nice and tight to the body with hidden fasteners all around. They look absolutely beautiful. They're sitting there. Inside of the car, the little aesthetics are so perfectly executed here. We've got undermount LED strips underneath the dash, and the dash is totally custom in this. Instead of the double humps that you would have in a traditional 1955 dash, they've elected to just put one center gauge section in this car with one single hump. And this is something that I noticed in a lot of the contenders this year for the Riddler Award, especially that 63 Corvette, the orange one. Same kind of idea. Delete the two sides and then just have the gauges in the center. Kind of an interesting design choice. I'm not exactly sure why so many builders are adopting this style, but it kind of works in this 55 Nomad. Not necessarily my personal preference, but it definitely streamlines the dash and makes everything look a little bit more refined. Now here on the outside, we can see that custom flush-mounted glass that is the wraparound windows in this 55 Nomad. The amount of work that it takes to get the body that perfectly dialed in where it fits that glass without any sort of gaps or gap deviation or panel mismatches or anything like that is an untold amount of hours. That is a serious amount of work to make the body fit that well. You have to remember back in 1955, well, these bodies were pretty accurate and pretty tight. GM had the stamping decent. It was nowhere near this level of gapped. So the amount of custom body work that went into getting this car to fit just like it does is pretty crazy. And looking down the sides of it, there wasn't a single wave, a single deflection, a single wobble. And I think flush mounting that trim and bringing it into the body really helps with that, because if you're familiar with Tri-5s, it seems like the stainless steel trim that came from the factory with the clips and the studs that go through the body from the factory, no matter how carefully you tighten that trim down and how loose you do it, it always seems to just put a little bit of a ripple in, especially on the doors where you have that really long panel with no structure, whereas as soon as you box that in with the trim behind it, it's just going to inherently add structure to the panel. Pretty cool to see there. And the gap around that trim where it was set into the body, just absolutely perfect. Yeah, no deviation. This is, gosh, I can't even imagine how much time it took to get this right and how much sanding and filing and everything to get that perfectly fit. Wow, crazy amount of work. And one of the cool things about this car that I really enjoyed seeing was the understated nature of that paint. You know, at first glance, you kind of look at it, it's gray. It doesn't really stand out from the crowd, but the more you look, the better it gets. And I think that is the exact reason why this car won above all the other contenders. And there was some really stiff competition. Now, me personally, I thought that 1949 Pontiac was going to win the award, but I'm surprised to see this 55 Nomad come out on top. Really cool to see the judges respect all the amount of work that went into this car here. There was just enough bright metal underneath it as well to set things off, like the fasteners all being chrome plated or polished stainless steel and the sway bar being chrome plated. However, it wasn't too overdone, and I think just the right amount of bright metal elevated the bottom of this absolute show winner of a car. This build was just so over the top, so well done. I wanted to make a quick video about it. If you'd like to see more about the contenders for the Riddler Award this year and take a close look at the Great 8, all of the cars in the running for the Riddler Award, well, click this video up here And if you're not necessarily interested in that, but you want to see pretty much every other car at the Detroit Autorama this year, well, click my other video here where I do a full walkthrough of the show. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.